Good morning. Good morning. Java Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Hosts of my favorite talk show during the week, Java Delight. First up, we'll meet Gavin Kerr, the musician, actor, and multi-passionate entrepreneur of the duo. In our conversation, we'll be talking all about his journey to music, and he'll be singing 2 incredible songs for us with his unique and powerful voice. Then we're sitting down to talk to the other half of the duo, CEO of Delight Cafe CBD, Brandon Croucher. In our conversation, you'll learn more about him, his multi-passionate journey through higher education, and what his dreams are in changing the world to a more calm, balanced, and delightful one. Together, we'll discuss the Java Delight Show and why you should be tuning in Monday through Friday. Don't miss this incredible show coming up today.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Uh-oh, it's still playing.
What's still playing?
The Facebook thing behind us.
Oh.
I hear Jessica Dugas's voice going in my head over and over.
Yeah.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Gavins of all ages. We want to thank you all for being here today. Welcome to the next episode of Java Delight. We start your day with a little bit of extra Java in you and then give you some delight to go through. Gavin Kerr, how are you, sexy?
How am I sexy, or how am I sexy?
Well, I mean, you answer it the way you want.
Well, to answer your first question, I would say probably mostly genetics and then just subjective interest of the individual.
That's true.
Personal taste. And then for how am I, sexy, first off, thank you. I appreciate that. And second off, I'm pretty good. You keep watching me drift off here, and that's because it's raining outside, but the cloud is right above us, so it's coming straight down. It's very constant, but also light. They're not very heavy raindrops, and I have the windows open, so it's very peaceful, and it's kind of bringing me just nothing but comfort right now. So I have that going on. I got a cup of hot tea, blueberry. It's nice. It kind of tastes like the blueberries in a blueberry muffin. So I got some hot tea. I got some rain going, and I feel pretty good. I'm a little sleepy, but that's all right.
The rain actually helps with the sleepy. Oh, I have money in my pocket. Hell yeah. The rain helps with sleepiness. I personally, middle of the night, the rain was coming in and my room was so warm. I opened the window and just started listening to the rain, so I could just enjoy it because it's nice to just listen, hear the rain, and just let go of life for a minute. So you had a busy night last night.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I went to the Fantasy in Lakewood, the LGBT community. They bought that building there. It's abandoned, and I was redoing it. I did a whole bunch of I moved out a whole bunch of just different pieces of equipment and furniture that were in there in one of the rooms. We cleaned the rooms up, and I did a bunch of weeding. I did a whole bunch of weeding there, stuff, and I actually ended up doing an upside gig. I have the information in my phone, and I gave the guy my number, but he saw me working, and he's like, "Hey, you're really good at that." I was like, "Oh, thanks." I just put my earbuds in and just kind of keep going. I'm just, pulling weeds and whatnot. And he told me, he's like, "Yeah, the owner of this restaurant here has a house that he's trying to look for someone to landscape on it." And so I was like, "All right, well, yeah, I'm always looking for side work, so I might go do another landscaping job for him."
Nice, buddy. That's great. Great.
Yeah.
That's great news.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. And then you did karaoke last night. Did you sing anything?
Yeah, I sang everything because nobody was there. This bar is weird. Sometimes I'll go like 30 to 40 minutes over how long I'm supposed to because I have so many singers. And then there's nights like last night where I had one sweet little old lady who sang a song as soon as I got there, and then she left. And then there was a mother and her two girls, and she had like 4 kids, I think, but her 2 girls sang a couple songs. They were probably like 7 to 9, around that age. They were really cute. They were sweet, but for the most part, it was just me singing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So I just played music, and then like every like 5 songs, I got up and sang a song. I'm like, "Hey guys, in case you didn't know, there's karaoke tonight," because there were people there. There were plenty of people there. None of them wanted to sing. There was like a party going on, and I was like, "Why don't you want to sing?" Yeah.
I would have expected a party to want to sing. Jessica Dugas wants to know what you sang. Did you by chance sing "It's Raining Man"? Hallelujah.
I did not, but I did. I did a drag show at Sandusky Pride, and "Raining Men" was one of the songs. We didn't get to choose the songs, which sucked because I had like a couple songs in mind. Like I was prepped for this. It was a competition, and that's why we couldn't pick the songs. And "Raining Men" was one of the songs that I ended up doing, and it started raining while we were singing it, so that was pretty magical. But I did not sing that. I sang. What the hell did I sing? I sing all kinds of nonsense when I'm on stage. I sang some of the Beatles. I think I did some Elvis last night. I don't know. I sing. I have so many different things that I sing, because I sing every genre. So it's really whatever I'm feeling. Let's see. Boots are made for walking. That's just what they'll do. I sang that song.
What song best describes you? What song best describes you guys? Oh, wow. Wow.
I feel like this is Tinder now. Like, what's your theme song?
I did not know that was a thing on Tinder.
Yeah.
You have a theme song on Tinder. All right. So instead of what you're grateful for today, what would your theme song be of the day? All right. Brett Gordon is Genuine Pony. That's just because I love Gavin's laugh on that.
Oh, geez.
Genuine Pony is definitely Brett Gordon's. Dazed and Confused would be Bob Seymour's. I love that. Man, for me, what would mine be? Like, all right, Gavin, what would my song be? What would you pick for me, and I'll think of one for you?
What would your song be?
Yeah. Or do you know your own?
No, because I've been asked this question so many times, and it's changed so many times.
Justin Timberlake. I'm bringing sexy back.
For you?
No, for you.
Oh.
I'm bringing sexy back.
Wait, where did the sexy go?
It sometimes goes, buddy. Sexy sometimes just disappears. You're not sexy to everybody, so you got to bring it back.
Well, now in that context, like, do I gotta like back it up and acknowledge I'm not sexy to everybody and be like, oh, but let me take a step back? Is that what we're saying now?
No, we're saying you're bringing sexy back. We're bringing it back. That means like everybody else fell out of the sexy, and you're like, let's go, guys, come on, bring the sexy back. All the players don't know how to act.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna make you wake up earlier because you're not awake yet.
I did wake up earlier. I woke up at 7, and then I laid in bed for 3 hours.
That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get up, get the heart going. I'm too
I know.
sexy.
I was supposed to go to the gym. That's why I've been waking up early, so I could go to the gym. But I have been waking up early still, but then I just go to the gym later in the day.
Sexy went to Parma. It's a miracle it was brought back. If you're not from Ohio, that joke does not make sense. All right, Bob Seymour. He should be Bob Seymour's intro should be "Born to Be Wild," and truthfully, I think that's a great idea. Pony is Phil's theme song. I could see Phil. In my head, I have so many things running right this minute. So Phil, the Big D Dugas, comes out to ride it, my pony. And I'm like, oh man, I wish I could announce him once at a strip club. Just once. Just be like, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages.
I think it depends on what personality I am determines which song that is my theme song.
So I say bringing sexy back, but that's just because we always call you sexy. Or Gavin, I think Tokyo Bento has it right on the knot. I'm too sexy.
Oh, I hate that song.
That's your theme song now.
I hate that song. I don't know why. I think that's one of the worst songs ever. Like,
yeah?
Yeah, I do. I don't know why, but I just nothing about that song has ever been appealing to me. Sorry, Tokyo, if you like it, but like, if you do like it, for the love of God, listen to better music.
Oh, you're a jerk.
I am.
He could say the same thing about stuff you like. It's how about he has his own
absolutely.
opinion.
Absolutely,
so
he could say the stuff about things that I like, but I also like good music, so it'd be difficult.
Yeah, your idea of good music and his are different.
I know, Brandon. I'm being a dick.
I'm just not used to it. You're just always a Nick. My theme song depends on the moment, Jessica Diga says. It's either going to be The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that Jessica. Yeah, that's all I got. Or it's raining tacos. I want to eat them. It's raining tacos.
No, that's an actual song. I do know that song. It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity, yum. It's like a dream. Yum, 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 yummity, yum. With sour cream.
Jacob, tell us, buddy, what is
Bet you didn't know that song, Brandon.
I did not in any way. That's why I'm switching the topic. Good morning, Jacob Craig. Tell us, bro.
Told you I know good music.
Yeah, you proved that to me. Jacob Craig, morning, buddy. Tell us what your theme song would be if you were to have your theme song. Oh, sing me some cake. Oh, she's going the distance.
She's going for speed. She's all alone in her time of need.
Because she's racing and pacing.
There's a delay. It's messing us up.
Yeah, I was trying to get yours. Oh, man, that's funny. All right, so what was mine? Gavin would be Tiptoe Through the Tulips by Bob Seymour, he wrote in the back. All alone in a time of need.
Yeah. I like Tiptoe Through the Tulips just because I think it's a very I think it's one of the most disturbing songs potentially. There's a video of this guy in an all white room with like white paint all over him, just completely, and then he had like these contacts that were all black with red in it, and he was just singing that, and it was very like satisfyingly disturbing thing to see. It was like an American Horror Story kind of thing, so that's why I like that song.
Mike Herzog says the best cake song, sheeps can go to heaven, goats can go to hell. Do you know that song? Today, I'm in a cake by the ocean vibe. I love that. I love it.
That was a good
Sweeney
song.
Todd. Sweeney Todd goes again. Wow. We have a lot of go. All right. So Gavin has like 20
women,
songs.
Fascinating. Sipping coffee. Dancing pretty women. It's supposed to be in the mood to want to go shave. I still got to do that. I always shave to Sweeney Todd.
So if you, sorry, watching everybody in the background laugh at this comment, Gavin is not the modern day Tiny Tim, and both Bob and Brett are in the background loving that comment. They were laughing so hard. So I don't have a theme song. If I was to pick a karaoke song, my karaoke song I usually sing is Santa Baby. And I know that's...
So why the hell don't you ever sing it and come to karaoke?
Because I don't sing in public. I'll sing here. Mother lover. I do love my mom. She's amazing. She's one of these people that is just inspirational and always there for you. And she'd do it for you. My mom loves you. My mom's like, Gavin's such a cutie. And I'm like, do you want him here instead of me? She goes, well, he's a good boy. So... for real. That was our conversation this morning over coffee.
She would think that until I started bringing people over at night.
Well,
and she'd be like, I don't want them anymore. I don't want them.
You don't bring people back to the parents' house. You take them to their house, someone else. Like, you gotta be professional about it. Be nice. Like, this is their house. Plus,
I brought people home when my mother lived here.
I'm just gonna leave that where you said. Yeah, you're not like. Never mind. So Brandon's theme song would be the Care Bear song. Apparently, that's all I have. I'm Care Bear and a squirrel. Like, those are my talents right now. That's all I got, guys.
CBD, Care Bear dude.
Yeah, that's all. I've never done anything else in my life. Gavin could do Chocolate Rain. Yeah, I could see Gavin doing Chocolate
Rain. Da, 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 Chocolate Rain. I don't know the actual words of the song. I just know that one part.
I was going to let you just keep singing. Who can brighten up your day? Who can smile and chase the blues away? Who can lend a helping hand? The Care Bears can. Rob's
you know, a song that I actually listen to unironically that I love is the DuckTales theme song.
Can you sing it?
Not right now. No, my voice is not anywhere close to being awake, and I also don't know all the words. Like it's one of the songs. I love that song. It's actually one of my favorite songs, but I only listen to it once in a blue moon because it's one of my favorite songs, and I don't want to ruin it.
Really?
Yeah. So it's one of my favorite songs, and I do not know the words to it because I rarely listen to it. Just so every time I listen to it, it's just such an enjoyment.
You're getting called out, buddy. Wake the fuck up, Gavin.
I'm wide awake. My voice is nuts. I can do a lot of like deep register stuff right now.
Do you want to get ready? Let's wake it up. Ready? La 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 la.
La 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 la.
You know what, Gavin? I'm going to make this easy on you. Tokyo Bento says his theme song would be Pinky Jones by Momero Clover Z. I don't know who that is. I don't know this song.
That one I don't know either.
Gavin Deep Throats this morning, songs. And everyone can hear Gavin sing today on the Breakthrough Show. We are going to be live with Jessica Dugas at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 o'clock Central Time. We are going to be making sure to put out some positivity. You saw the commercial at the beginning. Do yourself a favor. Go subscribe to the Breakthrough Show here, just in case you don't know how to spell it. The Breakthrough Show right there on the screen. Yeah. Gavin will be singing today, and Gavin is the White Berry White.
Have you heard the formidable marinade?
No.
That song has been in my head a lot lately, and that one I could do part of it right now because it's very low, and it cracks me up because it's like a very, very morbid goth love song. It's the best way to describe it. Yeah, it's like
heard
the chorus.
I have nothing to rebuttal back to this.
Yeah.
Do you know DC's Big Balls?
I
like big balls.
No, I've got, not I like.
Oh.
I've got big balls, he's got big balls, and she's got the biggest balls of them all.
Yeah. I would think my song, if I had to have my own theme song, would be Skinny. It's a song about Cleveland, Ohio, and a skinny boy coming in to drink your whiskey and steal your beer and steal your women.
Nice.
Yep.
You got the Cotton Eye Joe is about a man going from town to town, sleeping with married men's women and then giving them STDs.
I did not know that. I got one we're going to sing. I'm going to say this one and we're both going to sing it. I have a feeling. You ready?
All right.
You ready? Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name of.
Oh, yeah. That was the first song that I ever played live on stage with my old band. That was the first song we did. Yep, because we wanted to do a cover song that everybody would know at first so we could get the crowd on our side, and that's how we opened the stage. And that was probably one of the most memorable moments of my life, actually, was because I was 17, the other two were 15, and we ended up outselling all the other bands. Texas Hippie Coalition was headlining. We outsold all the bands before them, because we had friends in high school and stuff like that, so we had that advantage. So we played direct support for them. It was at the Foundry, or not the Foundry, it was at the Agora in the ballroom. And we get in there, it's a sold-out show, and we get on stage after all these, 20, 30, 40-year-olds played before us. So these toddlers get on stage, and I just remember playing that first bass chord and everybody being silent, waiting to see what happened. And as soon as I started playing that, bum, 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 the whole place just lit up. Oh, nice. My God. People from the bar were coming over. People from outside were coming in. And we played our set and got off. And it was phenomenal. It was crazy. It was one of the coolest experiences of my life, honestly.
So the next song request that we have is Drunken Sailor. I don't know this
What should we do with a drunken sailor? What should we do with a drunken sailor? What should we do with a drunken sailor early in the morning? Hey, hey, head up, she rises. Hey, hey, head up, she rises. Hey, hey, head up, she rises early in the morning. Throw him in the brig with the captain's daughter. Throw him in the brig with the captain's daughter. Throw him in the brig with the captain's daughter early in the morning.
Whatever it shit was.
There you go.
I brought Bob in to sing with us, and he was talking. I thought he was singing. That was funny. Jessica Dugas says, I wake up singing The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow, and then I go to sleep singing I Don't F With You. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist singing that. I don't F with you. I won't do what you tell me. LOL. So Gavin, today we have a busy day. We have a lot going on. We have a really awesome guest coming on today. Miss Melissa Oatman. Melissa is from Illinois. In addition to teaching German, do you speak any German, by the way, Gavin?
I do not. If somebody tells me a phrase, I can kind of get it. German's always been a rough one for me. It's a very harsh language, but my grandmother speaks German. So she would say words to me. So I can pick up little things here and there.
Got it. Melissa is also a healer, a channeler, a spiritual teacher, and intuitive. She hosts the Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, a weekly podcast dedicated to improving lives and deepening spirituality. She's the author of Beautifully Broken and the Spiritual Women's Guide to Thriving After a Divorce or Breakup. I think we're going to have a good conversation with that, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm from Illinois. Gavin, I need Gavin to sing that part. You ruined it. Apparently I've done nothing right this morning in Jessica Dugas's eyes.
The Rage Against the Machine. The fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. That part.
I have no idea.
I think that's what she was talking about. Yeah, in the comments section there.
I do know that we have a very special guest, our reoccurring guest coming on right before we have on Miss Melissa, is one of our favorites, Mr. Bob Seymour. And let's bring him in.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Bob.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Still out in Colorado.
I see that.
You're still at the whatchamacallit, the
The rocket.
rocket.
Yeah.
Scientist.
What have you built with him so far out there?
I'm still trying to get the sucker to build a freaking squirrel launcher, man. But he's too busy with his damn satellites and that kind of stuff, you know.
Damn him trying to be productive for mankind.
Yeah. He needs to get away and have some fun. We got all these hawks flying around here. I think it'd be so cool to chuck him a squirrel every now and then. Can't get him to do it.
You know what you could do? Don't shoot animals with this. It's just for fun. All right, little disclaimer. Make a potato gun with him. You ever made one of those?
Yeah. We used to be at the beach with tennis balls and potatoes and stuff.
Yeah, those are pretty awesome.
A couple times.
How'd that feel?
Not good. Not good at all.
I believe it. I saw somebody one time trying to make French fries out of those. They had a potato gun, and then they had a tennis racket, and then a deep fryer right behind the tennis racket.
I'd like to try something like that. That'd be fun.
No, we don't put that. No, we're not. We're not going to admit that because, like, the minute somebody hears that we're like that, you're going to be deep frying squirrels. People are going to be writing us. They're going to tell us.
No, potatoes, you psychopath.
You guys said you want to do a squirrel launcher, and then I hear that there's a racket, and underneath it a thing of oil. I'm like, oh my god, where did we go with this? How did the squirrels get cooked? Like
Brandon,
that?
you missed like 2 minutes. You missed like 2 minutes of potato launcher conversation that we just had.
Yeah.
I thought you said squirrel. I really did. I pictured the squirrels in my head the whole time you were talking about it. I was like, wait, what? How are we gonna shoot? Like, Ooh, how about the marshmallow launcher? You ever do one of those?
No, never did that.
Well, I've seen those, yeah.
Your boy is a rocket scientist. Have you built a potato gun yet?
No. Ask him.
That's what we were just talking about.
Do you know how to build?
Squirrels are safe. They're not going anywhere.
Even the rocket scientist thought you guys were talking about shooting squirrels off into the space.
I mean, we can shoot squirrels into space. Why not? We get them little suits. We did it with monkeys and dogs.
Yeah. Shoot a chimp. Why not a freaking squirrel, man? And the hawks gotta eat, you know. Hawks are people too.
Yeah. Squirrels are mean.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I'm already getting called out. Oh my god, the squirrels are starting to show up, guys. They're already here. Yeah. Brandon, you called me. Bob, tell us a little bit about what you've been up to this past week. I just shared the Patreon for everybody to be able to know what you're doing, how you're doing it, how you're spreading delight all over this country and changing the world, buddy.
Well, last week, I want to thank everybody. Last week, the guys sent in $100. I did this charity ride. A good friend of mine went into Oregon, shut down. He was a young fella. He would have been 50 on Sunday. So anyway, he had some issues with PTSD, some demons he was battling. He just didn't win, and his Oregon shut down. So we did a memorial ride for him, and all the money that people sent in last week, I put into the Kitty to Help, because all of the proceeds went to, I forget which one it was. It was a veterans charity. So I did that. I had a great time. There's people want to see some pictures of it. I posted a lot of it on my Facebook page, and you'll get a special shot of the rocket scientist.
Oh boy.
A special shot?
Oh yeah. If you went on my Facebook page and scroll back through, we were just on our way from one bar to the next, and Robert was leading, and all of a sudden he just pulled over. He had a little Mother Nature break, and
so
that's on there, yeah. So, but no. Other than that, this past week I didn't do a heck of a lot. I needed to get out in the woods because Sunday I had a little rough time myself on Sunday with some emotional stuff that's associated with that. So I had to get away. So I went up in the mountains on Monday just to kind of chill out and get out of the stuff, just get away from it all. And but I did have some pretty interesting encounters, one-on-one stuff. I stopped at in the canyon. They've got a couple of pull-off areas with a restroom, and I had to go, and I went in the wrong one. So anyway, I had an encounter with a couple there. It was really good. I ended up giving them. I always carry these New Testaments with me, and so I ended up giving away my last two and a couple of books that a friend of mine wrote. So I did. It was a slow week, but yeah. So, but today I got to ride back down to Elizabeth. It's about 100 miles or so down there. I got a good friend that's battling brain cancer, young girl. I'm going to go down and pray for her. And I told her I'd go to church with her this Sunday. So I'm going to go down there this afternoon and see what happens down there, and then come back here. And this weekend I'm going to, not this weekend, next weekend on the 5th, I think. Yeah, the 5th, I'm going to go to a blues festival, man, and see what happens there. I haven't been to a blues festival in like 20 some years. I'm really looking forward to this one. And then the following week, Florida. I got to ride down there, and then on the way back, I'm going to stop in, I forget the name of the town in Alabama, and eat a vegan meal.
I like that. That is such a such a big thing for me. It's like, yeah, so I'm gonna eat a vegan meal. Like, it's taboo.
we get through a pandemic, and Bob comes on after a week of us like waiting and all excited to hear it. And the stories we get is he's going to a blues festival. And then what matches something as cool as that is a wedding. So those are really cool things. And then he's going to eat vegan for a day.
Yeah.
Like, he puts it right up there with it. The thing that I liked best about that whole story was he goes, I walked into the wrong bathroom and I met a couple. And I'm sitting there in my head going, wait a minute, what bathroom did you walk in that there's a couple in there waiting for you to just talk to? Like, and then you hand them the New Testament. I don't think they were ready for that, buddy.
I'll tell you what, I used to, back in New York when I was pastor in a church, the name of my church was Abide in Divine Fellowship. So I'm listed first in the phone book. So I used to get all these phone calls, my secretary would, about people who want to get married, So I'd call them up, set up an appointment to go and meet them, and I guess my voice and on the phone didn't match what they saw when they got to the door. I've seen some pretty shocked people, man. I'll tell you what. Yeah. But yeah, it is what it is, But I still do all the weddings and stuff. I just had a friend of mine post from 3 years ago, I think it was. I baptized this couple out in Spearfish Canyon in South Dakota, in a really cold, God, it was bad. But it's interesting in my world, man. It's there's never hardly a dull moment in it, man.
So, quick thing, what are you most excited about with your vegan stuff? Is it meeting Jessica and Phil the Big D?
That would be what I'm looking forward to most. I mean, all I can get in my mind is a couple pieces of bread with some tofu or something. I'm like, hell, I don't do vegans. I never. No.
You're just gonna be on the Jesus diet for a couple days, wine and bread.
I'll probably have a burger before I get there. Yeah.
It's not like she's watching or anything. We'll never know.
I love your sister. My sister-in-law, my wife and my kids used to think she's probably, I hope it don't matter. What the hell. But I never was crazy about this woman's cooking. I mean, she did all this fancy stuff, and I'm just a meat and potato guy. So every time my wife would say, we're going to Larry and Donald's for dinner, I'm like, I'm eating first, sweetheart.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll meet you there after I eat.
Yeah.
So Jessica Dugas is inviting everybody over. Tokyo Bento says, I am not vegan, but I love food. And Jessica says, we'd love to host you anytime. So she also asked a question back here for you in particular. Have you ever participated in the Pappy Run in Connecticut?
I have not. I never heard of that.
I haven't either. So I will warn you. in the best of ways. If you've never eaten vegan, you're gonna actually really like what people make that are actually vegan cooks. It doesn't. You're in for a treat. I owned a vegan restaurant at one point, and my focus was to teach people how to eat healthier foods without them realizing it. Like for real.
My wife used to give me hell. I mean, I'd eat like 4 or 5 eggs, half a pound of bacon, fried pork. I mean, I just ate all.
Like that sounds awesome.
Healthy, you know. I mean, we grew all of our own food and stuff, and she used to bitch at me, and I just look at her and say, "You know what, baby? Eat right, exercise daily, and die anyway. I'm having fun. You go ahead and eat your veggies. I'm gonna chew on a pork chop with some bacon wrapped around it, and I'm still here, and she's not. So, you know."
I love you, Bob. That was dark shit.
I know. I'm sitting here going, "Oh my gosh!" He goes, "I'm here."
On a lighter note,
what can I say?
No, I understand that. You know, you gotta laugh through the pain a lot of the times, and laughing it really does make it better.
It does,
like, especially.
You know,
especially being a veteran, I know in the military, comedy is a huge part of the culture to getting through the crazy shit that you guys see sometimes. So I completely understand that, brother. But that being said, talking about like all this pork chops and bacon, I just had this idea. I gotta look into Brook Park Law. I might get a little pig for outside in the backyard. I might get a couple pigs.
Yeah, well,
if I can.
We're still looking at doing this pig roast. We haven't heard back from the organization we're trying to work through, but we are still thinking about or trying to work together to get this pig roast for the homeless going here. So I
might get like 2 pigs and then do a couple pig roasts each year. Sounds like fun.
With the pig roast, tell everybody what you're looking to do with that, buddy, and then I'll share your Patreon again.
We're just looking to cook a pig and invite some homeless folks. There's a local place called Our Center, OUR Center. It's a place where they feed the homeless, clothing, all that stuff, you know. And we're just trying to coordinate with them to find out when they've got an open date for us. And then we're going to get probably the rocket scientist brother's going to buy the pig, and we got a couple guys that are willing to help with the cooking and whatnot. We got this organization. I got their hat on now, actually, called Brother Down. They're a really great couple that started this 501c3 thing to just to help local people that go down on their scooters and whatnot. This brother lost a good friend, or his brother, I think, and he started this charity. And they do an incredible work. They're the ones that back this memorial ride we did last Sunday. They're just a great couple. So we're working with them and this center, and we're just going to go try to feed some homeless folks and just do what we can do for them, you know. So.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
I love it. Tokyo Bento said that in Keto Japan that they have lots of vegan dishes, good enough for Buddhist monks, good enough for him. Well, Jessica Dugas comes through with we were all meat and potatoes in this house until we lost our 5-year-old daughter. Things like that change you.
Yeah.
So I honestly, and I know Jessica and we've talked off air. We talk a lot. She literally has taken going vegan to a level that she's like, look, you don't need to tell everybody you're vegan and enjoy the food. And that's what she does. But she likes to warn people because there are a lot of people who are still meat and potatoes. And I think you're in for a treat.
I hope so. I'm going to give it an honest shot. You know, if it's good, I'll tell you it's good.
I found that there are 2 kinds of vegans. There are those who eat vegan, and there are those who cook vegan. And those those who cook vegan make phenomenal food. They really know what they're doing because they know how to actually cook. They know their own kitchen. Those who eat vegan and don't know how to cook it are usually, unless they go to a restaurant where someone knows how to cook it, they're usually doing like junk food or like just like the first thing that comes to mind, like the tofu and bread kind of thing. It's like,
avocado toast.
I've eaten
goddamn avocado toast.
You know? I mean, my wife used to cook some stuff, stir fry crap. I'd eat that along with pork chops or whatever, you know. So I eat vegetables once in a while.
Yeah, I really like stuffed peppers. I like those a lot. You take
Yeah.
some bell peppers, you fill them with rice and beans and
Right.
whatnot. Yeah. And then if you wanted, you could do tofu with that as like a meat substitute. That'd be really good.
There is no such thing as meat substitute, brother. It's just no, man. It's meat. There's no substitute for it. You know.
You know what? Jessica Dugas is watching, and I guarantee she's taking that as a challenge. She's gonna be like, "All right, you want to say no meat? I'm gonna make you something." Like I know her well enough now. She's looking at this video and going, "All right, I got you, Bob. I'm gonna make you something, and I'm gonna tell you it's meat."
I'm open for it. You know, I'm open for almost anything as long as there's no cheese involved in it. I'm good, man.
Oh, see, I love cheese. That's my weakness on cheese and eggs. Oh. Yeah. I love cheese and eggs.
And I can do a little on the mozzarella on a pizza, but other than that, I'm like, nah, I don't do the cheese thing, man.
Are you lactose intolerant or?
No, I just don't like it. Don't like the taste of it. Don't like
really?
a little bit in my mouth. Nah, it's a hereditary thing. My dad hated it too. Now my boys, both my kids love it. My grandkids love it, but me, nah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like
Jessica Dugas is ready for you. She's making notes. She has a page full of notes for you. And Tokyo Bento has invited us all to Hawaii, and he's going to do a pig roast. That's not at all what it says, but that's how I'm reading it. The joy of dyslexia. He said we did a pig roast rotisserie style in my front yard in Hawaii once. Tokyo, I look forward to meeting you one day, and wherever we end up with eating. Sherry McQueen just chimed in. Good morning, you beautiful souls. Won't be here long. I got the results of my echocardiogram and found a heart murmur. It's not good news, guys. So we're lifting you up in prayer and loving energy. Honestly, absolutely. Sherry, we are all lifting you up right now. Wait. Why are we not serving breakfast when I come? That's my favorite meal of the day. That's why I did a morning show to bring everybody up with a good morning thing. Why am I not allowed breakfast, Jessica? Like, my heart broke. Sherry McQueen, please know we are sending very positive, loving vibes to you. I'm really sorry to hear what's going on, but Bob will be praying for you. Gavin will send you pictures of him shirtless, and I send you good vibes. What?
Yeah.
Don't pimp me out.
Well, fine. So
why do you sound insulted?
I'm just having fun with you this morning. It's Friday. I'm excited for the weekend. Yeah. We have on a great guest in a little bit. 20 minutes from now, Melissa will be on with us. And she said note, not no. My bad. See, dyslexia. That was a real dyslexic moment live on air. But 100%. Bob, tell us a little bit more about where you're going, what you're doing. You have a wedding coming up. You're seeing Jessica. You're doing a pig roast, and then you've been everywhere. You're handing out Bibles to people hooking up in bathrooms. Yeah. That's a pretty interesting one to me. Tell us what else has been going on with you and your rocket science friends.
Well, we just been hanging out and having some fun. We went, there's a local pub we like to visit every once in a while, you know. It's really strange in my world. There's a lot of people that don't believe some of the stuff I don't say that I do, but I always tag the people I'm with. Like, you don't believe me? Ask them, you know. I have this weird thing. I mean, Brian Tracy witnessed it. I don't know what, I don't understand it. People just see me and walk up to me and start talking to me. I mean, it happens all the time. And usually it's over my scooter. Somebody will say, hey, nice looking scooter, you know, and we'll get to talking. And the next thing you know, I'm sharing what I'm doing and everything. And it's just one of those things. I can't explain it. I just go wherever I feel my gut tells me to go and do whatever I feel like I'm supposed to do. Like in 2016, I had just one goal in mind. I wanted to put my front wheel in all 48 states. I had no agenda. I had a little Harley Davidson tour book that I got when I bought the bike. And I just look at the map in the morning and see where I was at, and then look at something within 500 to 700 miles. And the first town that jumped out at me, that's where I'd go. And I just do whatever and make wrong turns. I lost my glass. I broke my glasses. So I went to a thrift store and bought a $5 pair of things that I could barely see through. I couldn't read with them. I couldn't see exit signs or nothing. I just started riding, man. And then I started meeting these people, and then just stuff happened. I haven't planned any of this. I never have. Everything I make plans and I write about them, you know, and I'm like, I'm going to do this and go there and do that. And as soon as I get ready to do it, God goes, hey, Gabriel, come check this out. Watch what I'm going to do here. Bob thinks he's doing this. Watch what I do here. I mean, this has been like for 6 years of this stuff, man. I don't have any agenda. I just go out and try to love people, man. I make myself available. That's all I do. I just go I just say, okay, God, here we are. What are we doing today? I'll go wherever, do whatever, and I'll just sit at the bar and have a drink. And the next thing I know, somebody's tapping me on the shoulder talking, and then we're, you know, I don't know, brother.
I love it. I love it.
For the ride.
I think it's great. You were asked, is this what they mean by the Bible Belt?
Yeah, that's a strange part of the country, man. It's like
coming from the guy who comes on to talk about going and spreading the Bible and all that. You're like, yeah, the Bible Belt's weird. Let me tell you, I don't even go there.
There's an awful lot of Pharisees in the Bible Belt, man.
What are some of these strange experiences you've had in the Bible Belt? I'm curious now.
Yeah, you've got me.
Well, I have this, my theology has so radically changed in the last 6 years that it's unbelievable. The things that I used to think were so important and I was dogmatic about, I no longer am. I'm only dogmatic about the very basics of the faith. The sinless, the virgin birth, the sinless life, you know, the death, burial, resurrection, the ascension to heaven, coming back in the Word of God. That's all I'm dogmatic about, and I just, you know, I don't push any of that on anybody. But that's just where I'm at. I've been in places where I walk in at one bar, and across the street from a Hell's Angel I was staying with, and every night I'd walk across the street and go sit in that place, just have a drink and a cigar, and somebody'd come in, and I'd just say, hey, how you doing, brother? And the next thing you know, they're like, yeah, brother, I know who you are. I've been following you on Facebook, and you know, and I tell them, look, I'm not religious, man. I just know God, and I have a relationship with Him, and then that opens the door to, what do you mean you're not religious? I thought you were a pastor. And then I'm like, look, it has nothing to do with religion's what hung Jesus on a cross, and the conversation just go from there, man. I can't explain any of this. I just whatever I feel in my gut is what I do, man. It's like I've turned down a lot of sponsors, several sponsorships, some companies that wanted to help me out, support me in all of this, but they had strings attached. They wanted me to promote, and I won't do that. There's a brother, really good friend. He's used to be the drummer for Three Dog Night. His name's Mike McNeil. He has a thing called the Inner City Slickers. He works with inner city kids out on ranches and stuff. And I spent a couple days with him, and he was saying, brother, you got to write a book. And I'm like, I'm trying, man. I need a ghostwriter. And then by the end of the second day, he was like, brother, you need to do a reality show. And I'm like, he took him to the airport, and he flew back home to Nashville. And then 2 days later, he called me up and he said, brother, I just talked to these my friends in California, and they really want to talk to you about doing a reality show. And I was like, Mike, I love you, brother, but I cannot do that, man. I can't do it. The people that reach out to me for help, if they thought I had a camera crew following me around to do this, they would never ask me to come and pray for them. They would never open up to me. And he kept saying, brother, you don't understand this, how lucrative. And I said, brother, I'm not in this for the money, man. I did the pastor thing for 30 years, and at the end of 30 years, I was still only making $300 a week. I'm not in this for the money. I just go out and want to love people, man. I want to see people free from fear, stress, the anxiety, just introduce them to who they are. I really am a firm believer that, the definition of success is the fulfillment of original purpose. Your vacuum cleaner's not successful unless it's sucking dirt out of your rug. And for myself, my perspective is that every human being has exactly the same original purpose, and that's to be in a relationship with the guy that created them. That's all I'm doing, man. I just go out there. Once you have your identity secure, everything else flows from that, man. I just want to see people free, see people enjoying life, and genuinely have joy and happiness in their life, man. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You are a treasure, Bob. Hello, Uncle Bob. I got people singing to us now. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. He was a good friend of mine. And this is why I don't do the singing and Gavin does.
I won't either.
Yeah, so you and I both, Bob. We're brothers there. Brett asked a very good question from businesses or people too. He says he's more comfortable in places like bars that are on every corner than he is in places like churches on every corner. Right. And I think that's an interesting comment because of the fact I actually agree. And I'm a former youth pastor who's now a more Buddhist than I am youth pastor. And then you have the side of Gavin over here. And that's why we have these conversations. Bob talks religion, but he doesn't preach it. He talks about being a better person. Right. Gavin and I have talked, and while we have different views religious-wise, we still both agree that you need to have a plan to help others. Right. You need to be lifting up others and those around you. Right. And that's why the three of us are able to sit here, have these deep conversations that are just, fun conversations and all that. Bob, with everything you do, what would be something that for someone like Gavin and I, who are working, we do a lot, and we're always on the move, getting the next step for everything, what would be something you'd say? Like, because you say you follow your gut, and that's not easy for a lot of people to do. How do you just trust your gut and know that it's going to be okay? What would you tell somebody?
I got nothing to lose. I've already lost everything I have. When I say I'm trusting my gut, that's a non-religious term to describe. I believe in the Holy Ghost. He indwells me. It's His voice that I hear. I have this weird way. I mean, Christians seem to, they talk in Christianese, and that turns off a lot of people. You know, like a lot of the times I hear people, preachers. I'm guilty of it too. I was like, the Lord spoke to me, and then you got the people sitting over there. Man, there must be something special about Him because I ain't never heard God. Yeah. The way He speaks to me, the way in my gut, like when I first came out here to Colorado, my rocket scientist brother over here sent me a message in February or March of 16, inviting me to come out to a charity ride. I didn't know this brother. I didn't know anything about it. I messaged him back and said, if I'm within 300-400 miles, I'll come and do it. And I forgot about the message. So I'm riding down the road one day, 2-3 months later, and I remembered that message. So I looked it up. I found the guy's name. I messaged him, said, I'm coming, brother. So I come out here, and I'm going on this poker run with these guys, and we're leaving the last bar, and I'm walking out, and I hear some guy yell out Bob, and I didn't answer because there's 100 Bobs in every biker bar, So he did it again, and I still didn't respond. And then he's like, hey, Bob Seymour. So I turn around, and there's this kid. He's just like one giant tattoo. So I walk over to his table. He stands up and throws out his hand to shake my hand, and he's handing me $20 with the other hand. And I'm like, brother, I don't want your money. And he's like, no, man, I'm following you on Facebook. I want to buy you some Jack or whatever. Talking like he's on crank. And then he says, man, I want you to come and stay with me and my old lady for a few days. We got food. So I'm going to tell this kid, because I've been trying to get to Seattle for 5 months, and it's just been one delay after another. But I'm going to tell him I appreciate it, but I got to get to Seattle. But in my gut, I hear this whisper say, stay with this kid. So I stayed with him for a few days, and I told God, I'm not talking about you when I get there. If He opens the door, I'll go in, but I'm not doing it. So anyway, I spent 3 or 4 days with him, and every day that I was getting ready to go, I get this thing in my gut, it's time to leave. So I started to write on Facebook, I'm going to take off in the morning. And then while I'm writing it, my rocket scientist buddy messages me, and he says, hey man, there were a lot of people that didn't get to meet you, so we're going to have this party for you, meet and greet up at the Windjammer, this biker bar. So I'm like, okay, what's one more day? So I go to the biker bar, meet all these people, getting ready to leave, throw my leg over the saddle, and this couple comes running out and like, hey brother, So I stop. I shut the scooter back off. They come over and they're like, we want to take you to breakfast. And I'm like, God, I'm going to go to Seattle. But I hear that same voice. So I go and have breakfast with them, thinking, 7:38. Well, the brother couldn't get there until 8:30 or 9. So I didn't get out of Dodge until 11. So I get on the scooter and I'm heading north. I'm north of Cheyenne, Wyoming, somewhere heading northwest, and I start thinking about stuff. And I remembered like 4 or 5 times during the earlier in the year that I'd stopped somewhere, and I felt weird there. So I started asking God, myself, talking to myself, whatever, what was going on there? Why would I? And then it hit me. My wife and I stopped there 40 years earlier, those same places, on our way to California. So I'm like, what the heck? I mean, why would I remember that? And then this is a conversation going on in my mind. So then I remember that same trip. We got to this place called Winnemucca, Nevada, Thanksgiving Day. We stopped for dinner. We pull out of the place, get back on the highway, and a gas tank fell out of my truck. So we're stuck in Winnemucca, Nevada, Thanksgiving night. And the next day we got a gas tank, whatever. So then I'm like, why would I remember that? And it was like, then I had this overwhelming compulsion to go to Winnemucca. And I'm like, I can't do that. That's 500 miles that way. I'm going this way. But I couldn't shake it, so I said, to hell with it. I turned back around, went back to Cheyenne, got on Interstate 80, and started flying toward Winnemucca the whole way there. I'm telling God, this is nuts. I don't have the money to be wasting on this gas. That place, that was 40 years ago. It ain't even there anymore. Well, I get to Winnemucca. I go to the last exit, and I see the name of the truck stop was Keith's Model T. So I'm like, okay. So I go in. I go to the place. It took me a while to find it. I go in, they want $109 for the night, and I'm like, I can't do that, man. I mean, $50-$60 is my top, but I couldn't shake it. So I'm like, okay, so I bought the $109 room. All the way up in the elevator, I'm bitching like, God, you know what you're doing here? I don't have this kind of money. This is crazy. So I get in my room, I make this thing on Facebook, and I'm like, I'm in Winnemucca, Nevada, and I posted on about 40 different sites that I'm on, and I get a message right away that says, hey, brother, my sister lives there. And I'm like, oh, cool. And then she comes back and she says, where are you staying? And I say, I'm at a place called Keith's Model T. So immediately the same comment comes, wow, my sister lives there. And I was like, where? Winnemucca? And she said, no, Keith's Model T. And I'm like, get out of here. So she arranges for me to go meet her. I go meet the chick. She has to go to work. So we arranged to meet the next morning. So I go and I start talking to this woman. She read some stuff I wrote the night before. And she starts crying. She just starts bawling, and she starts telling me about when she was younger, she had this, she got pregnant, didn't want to do an abortion. So this couple took her in until the baby was born. And whatnot. So anyway, I said, all right, Lola, where's this girl live? I'm going to go pray for her. So she said, Boise, Idaho. So I said, all right, I'm going to Boise, Idaho. So I get up to Boise. It took me a while to find her. I find her, I pray for her, and then I'm going to Seattle. I get on the interstate and I take off. Stop, check my messages, and as soon as I open my Facebook, I get a message from somebody that says, hey, brother, I can't thank you enough for going so far out of your way to pray for my sister, for my niece. And I'm like, who the hell is this? I don't recognize the name. So I go back, I look at the name, and I'm going to put it in my thing on Facebook, see if it's a friend of mine. And then it hits me. And I stood back, and I was like, oh, my God. If I had not responded to my rocket scientist invitation to come out here, I never would have met that kid in the bar. And if I hadn't gone and stayed with him, I never would have been at that bar in the mountains and met that couple. And then if I hadn't met that couple, that was her sister that was in Winnemucca, Nevada, her niece. I prayed for the girl, and she's delivered from the cancer, man. So when I say I'm talking to my gut, that's the conversation. That's how I talk to God. That's how God communicates.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily talk to me, although he does. It's more he communicates to me, and that's what I try to share with people. To just
it's that intuition, that instinct telling you, hey, do this.
I follow.
This is the right way.
I trust that, and it has not let me down yet. I mean, I've screwed up a couple times and hit a brick wall, but I don't regret that because it helped me fine tune my ability to hear that voice more clearly. So, but that's what I do. I try to teach people how to communicate with God, man.
I love it. I love it.
Now, that I completely understand. Is the whole following, and I think that's something too that no matter what your religious belief is, that anybody can hold on to, is to follow your gut, is to understand that we have this sixth sense, this weird like foresight of knowing, I should or probably shouldn't do this.
Right, and that following that gut has led me to literally tens of thousands of people because the problem most church people have with me is my theology about where the church is. Like the brother Brett, I think it was about every church on every corner. I have issues with that too. You know, when I read in the New
Yeah.
Testament, it says, 12 men turned the whole world upside down. And here we are, a country with tens of thousands of churches. Where does the impact? And I don't see, you got mega churches with thousands of people and 4 blocks away. There's no impact, and I'm trying to change that, because I look at the church, I mean, very specifically, the job of the apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, and teacher is to train and equip the people to do the work of the ministry. And that's not being done. That is not being done.
No.
Well, it's supposed to be.
I think a great way to even show how drastic a few people could be would be the American Revolution and the few men who really leaded that. There was a whole bunch of people under them who took those orders, but there was only a few people giving out those orders. And because they had a set goal, because they had something that they wanted to get done, they got it done. The church has millions of people following them, but where is that change?
That's the trouble. And there was only
what is the goal? Yeah,
there were only 3% of the colonists actually participated in the revolution, but 3% of the population kicked Great Britain's ass, man.
Absolutely. Well, Bob, it's been an absolute pleasure as always to have you on.
Yeah, Bob. Like always, I love having you pop in and just spread positivity. We've shared your Patreon again. Guys, help keep spreading the light and bringing positivity as Bob goes around and changes the world one stop at a time. I love it. Our next guest is Melissa Oatman. She's from Illinois. And if I mispronounced your last name, please yell at Gavin. In addition to teaching German, Melissa is a healer, channeler, spiritual teacher, and intuitive. She hosts Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, which is going to be awesome, a weekly podcast dedicated to improving lives and deepening spirituality. She is the author of Beautifully Broken and The Spiritual Woman's Guide to Thriving a Divorce or Breakup. Bob, wonderful to have you, but I'm ready to talk to Melissa. I'm looking forward to this. Talk to you soon, brother.
God bless. Have a great day.
Hello, Melissa. How are you?
Hi, I'm awesome. It's great to see you guys.
It's great to meet you.
You too. Hope you've been having fun. I've seen you in the backstage watching and enjoying Bob as well. He has a lot there, and he brings this amazing energy. I was watching you smile with your drinks with him too. I was like, I'm glad she's enjoying him too. Like, he's an inspirational person that's just spreading his like love for people across the country, and that's why we're glad to have him.
Yeah, it sounds like he is just an awesome individual who is spreading so much joy and hope and healing himself. So I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. So tell us about you and your awesomeness and helping people who, like, I that was the greatest way I read that. I'm literally like, oh yeah, she's going to be fun. She's going to have a good time with us and spread awesomeness. I'm like, what other way is there to spread it?
Yeah, I love it. No, I'm loving doing a podcast. This is 3 years for me, and it started off just me. When I started it, I was like, I just want people to heal and basically improve people's lives and help them get through life a little bit easier than I did and with more ease and grace than I did. And when I first started it, I thought, 10 people might listen and 5 of those people might be my relatives. So I don't know. But then I kept gaining more and more listeners, and people I started off with the mission that if I can help one person, it's worth it. And then people started writing in and saying, your podcast changed my life. It helped me realize I needed to go get help, or I needed to, work on myself. And that's what it was all about. So I just kept doing it. And then I started having guests on. At first it was just me. And then I started having guests approach me like, hey, I love what you're doing, and I do this, and can I be on your show? So then it just sort of morphed into that. Sometimes it's just me talking about self-help topics, and sometimes it's awesome and amazing guests who come on and share their stories. But the main thing is how can we make everyone's lives just a little bit better each and every day? So I love doing that. And I think that it's an amazing thing, because I know myself, I need some sort of inspiration to start my day. And so a lot of people say, oh, I listen to it in the car on the way to work. So I love that.
I love that. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, I loved how your podcast is like, you said the spiritual guide to women, a women's guide to thriving after a divorce or breakup. Being that, like, Gavin and I obviously are dudes, and at the end of the day, we have our perception of it, but men heal differently than women at times. Not always, but they do at times.
Yeah.
What would be something you would say, especially going through a divorce? That's a very heavy thing. I'm the only one between the two of us that's divorced, but like it's a very my one employee is literally picking on me. Obviously divorced, like, you jerk. Bob says hello to you too, by the way. Melissa, he said, but with separations, divorce, and relationships, that breakup is hard. How does your podcast go about helping people through these difficult times?
Well, my podcast isn't necessarily aimed at separation and divorce. That's more my book. But the whole reason that I wrote it was, and yes, my main audience is women, but I do have a lot of men who listen to me as well. And they say that it's nice to get that other perspective too. It's not only for women. But I just wanted people to see that divorce is not a death sentence, that your life doesn't stop just because something happens to you that maybe you weren't prepared for, or you didn't plan, or, nobody goes, oh, I can't wait to get married so I can get divorced. Like, no one does that. Yeah. But it happens. And so what are you going to do? You can lay down on the floor and kick your feet and throw a fit that I didn't get my way. Life didn't go as planned, and I'm just going to be in misery forever. But that's no fun, and you look really dumb doing that. So my guide is all about how divorce is actually a chance for you to completely reevaluate your life and decide what wasn't working for you and why wasn't it working, and how can you heal from that. And from my perspective, I was born in a family where my parents divorced when I was 3. So I was never really brought up around healthy relationships. So I didn't know what that looked like. Yeah. And what I realized was, I got divorced when my twins were a year old, and that was 18 years ago. And it took me, I wrote my book like 2 years ago, and it took me that long to figure out what I was doing wrong, and that it was me. I was the one that had to change, even though I think everyone is equally responsible for their part in a relationship. You have to own up to what you're doing in a relationship that maybe isn't so healthy. So I went into I took all of these online courses and started really digging deep about what is a healthy relationship supposed to even look like, because we don't learn about that in school. That's something we should learn in school, but we don't.
Yeah.
And, so I got into like attachment styles and what is that and all of these different things. And so in my book, I talk about, first of all, figuring out who you are. And most of us, we suffer from low self-esteem, low self-confidence. So the first part is you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself deeply and completely before you can love anybody else and have it be a healthy love. So I talk about that and how you can build your self-esteem. And then there's a lot of journaling prompts, a lot of tools that I give you, like meditations and emotional freedom technique, EFT, to really help you heal from trauma and the emotional trauma that we call childhood and growing up. And so that's all in that book. And it really just helps you to see that you can completely reinvent yourself and come out on the other side of it healed. The title, Beautifully Broken, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Japanese pottery, where when it breaks, they put it back together with gold paint. So it looks even more beautiful than it was before. And that was the idea of the title of my book, is that you have to be broken open and filled with God's light so that you can be healed and made whole and made even more beautiful than before.
I love that. I think that's phenomenal. Tokyo Bento had a good comment really quick. It's funny how schools push sex education, but not relationship education. With that, I love how you said it took you that long, but you were learning how to love yourself. You had to figure out what you needed to do. I love it because of the fact that so many of us dive into a relationship with somebody and we become codependent without even realizing it, because we go from a honeymoon phase to we're living together, married type of thing already. And you don't take that time to build one another up and know that you love yourself first. Where did you start for yourself, Melissa? Being able to like self-heal is the best way I'm going to say that.
Yeah. So I started, I just happened upon a podcast. I was driving an hour to and from work, and I was like going crazy overthinking in the car. And I found this podcast with a woman who was a spiritual woman. She wasn't religious, but spiritual and into spirituality. And so that sort of opened my mind to what was out there, because before I grew up in a religious home, but not all of the things really resonated with me. And so I would consider myself to be a very spiritual person, but I don't go to church because I don't believe necessarily that you have to, but everyone is, open to his or her own relationship. But I have a very close relationship with God and pray every day and do a lot of meditation, things like that. And so that sort of is what opened me up. I started meditating, which I'd never done before. And that helped so much. It grounded me. And I started getting guidance. I was listening to your previous guest talk about that voice, that intuition. I call it intuition, which is like your inner GPS. I actually would get guidance when I would meditate. And so if I was struggling with something, I would for me, it pops into my head like a thought. And at first I thought this is my own thought. And then I realized no, I'm not that intelligent. But it would be like guidance that would just pop in for me. And I would know okay, I need to do this, or I need writing the book. You need to write down what happened. You need to write the story of what happened to you. And I just thought I was doing it as a journaling thing. So that's why I started writing it. I thought, it's going to be healing, cathartic journaling session for me. And then I realized I had 14 chapters. So I thought, okay, well, maybe other people need to hear this. Maybe it'll help other people heal. And I started, I got a Reiki session done. And then the person who did the Reiki session was like, you're supposed to be doing this. You're a healer. Which I laughed at again. And actually, several years prior, my sister made me go with her to the psychic fair. And I was like, okay. So I went with her, and this lady came up and said the same thing. She said, you're a healer. You're supposed to be doing this kind of work. And I laughed because I'm a teacher at the time. It's okay, I don't have any kind of intuitive abilities at all. And what I realized is we all do, but we're not all tapped into it. It's kind of you have to practice getting in touch with your intuition and that inner voice. So I started doing more things like that. I took a Reiki course and was certified. And so it just kind of developed from there. Through all of those courses that I took, we learned how to heal others. So as I was learning what I needed to do to heal others, I was using those same tools to heal myself. And then I worked with a coach who also helped me to really tap into all of the emotional stuff that I was holding on to.
So was there a specific moment, you talked about a bit on how you started your healing process, but was there a specific moment when you realized that you needed to work on yourself? Was there a breakup that happened, you've been single for a while, where you're like, all right, maybe I'm the problem in a sense. Maybe I'm the one who needs the work done.
Yeah, I would say there are 2 points in my life where I went through what I call a spiritual awakening. And the first one was when I left my marriage, because that marriage was very toxic and abusive, and it lowered my self-esteem to the point that I didn't want to get out of bed each morning. I dreaded every day. And I had 2 young babies at home, and that wasn't fair for them to have a mom who didn't enjoy life. And it wasn't fair for me. So that was the first one where I sort of had to reinvent myself. And that's when I went back to school again with 2 young kids. And then about 4 years ago, I started dating again for the first time. I did not date when my kids were growing up because I didn't have time to breathe, hardly going to school and working and taking care of twins. So I told myself, you don't have time to date. I probably could have made time, but I didn't even want to mess with it. And then my daughter, when she was in high school, said, Mom, you really need to get back out there again. And it's sort of embarrassing that your 14-year-old tells you, hey, you need to start dating. But it was like, all right. So I got back out there. I met someone and we dated for 6 months, and it was a great experience. But I realized when that didn't work out, you're doing the same things over and over again. And you're expecting it to be different, but it's not, because you're not different.
Yeah.
It's gonna be you. You're doing something wrong. And I also had this moment where I just felt like there has to be more to life than just this. I felt like I was living the same day over and over again, like Groundhog's Day. It wasn't fulfilling, there was just, it wasn't. So that's what really led me into searching for whatever I could get my hands on that helped me to figure out what was wrong with what's wrong with me? What's wrong with my life? What am I not doing? And what I realized was I wasn't really fulfilling my life's purpose. My purpose was to come here and to help other people heal. And I hadn't been doing that. I was teaching, and then that in a way is sort of like helping, but that wasn't my true purpose in life. My true purpose was to help other people heal, but I had to go through everything and heal myself first so that I could help others. Because you can't really, to me, people will not really trust you to help them heal if they don't understand that you've been through exactly what they've been through, and you know what it takes to make that change and to heal. So yeah, I call it a dark night of the soul moment.
I like that, because it really is, and people can understand that. I want to take a quick step back. What was your biggest challenge with starting meditation and everything? Because as you said, you came from the church, and forget religion for a second. Meditation as a whole, when I tell people, because church as well, and when I meditated, I started doing it. My biggest thing is I'm the H of ADHD. I have squirrels all the time, and for meditating, it was being able to sit down and not think of the 50 million things I want to get done that day. How did you start with it and start growing? And what were your challenges you had, and how did you get through them?
That's a good question. I kind of talk about this in my book. My book is also full of humor, because I think humor helps us heal too. But I talk about when you sit down and you try to meditate and you start thinking about, why don't they have pizza tacos? They have taco pizza, and all these crazy thoughts just like roam around in your head. Like, where's that coming from? It's a process. The first time I did it, what I was told was, when a thought comes into your mind, just acknowledge it and let it go, and then continue going on and meditating. And so that's what I did. And the first time I did it, I could only really sit for like a minute. And then I built up to 2 minutes. So start slow. If you can only sit for 30 seconds the first time, that's okay. Just try again. I personally prefer to do guided meditations, and I do a lot of guided meditations with my clients. And that's one of the things that I really, truly enjoy, because it's almost like taking you on a journey, a healing journey. And also it's just very relaxing and peaceful. So I do a lot of the guided stuff more than I just sit in stillness, but I do sit in stillness sometimes, because if I want guidance from, my higher self, I sit in stillness, and that's when that comes.
Very cool. Very cool. Go ahead, buddy.
I feel like there's a lot of different interpretations of meditation. Just because I know I don't do it regularly in the traditional sense of sitting down and clearing my mind, but I actually, a lot of times when you ever drive and then you kind of wake up at your destination, all of a sudden you don't know how you got there. Yeah. So I do a lot of driving, and like I pay attention to the road. I see it. I'm not gonna hit anything, but I'm also in my head a lot of the time, or when I'm cleaning or cooking or doing something that seems automatic to me, is where I don't really have to give it terribly much thought. I just kind of know what to do with it, and I'll do like this almost zone out thing. I see in my mind as meditation something like a house. Like my mind is my house, and that room is exactly what it is. It's a room where there is nothing in there, where a lot of people always want to go to, where there's absolutely nothing, the clearing of your mind. But I also enjoy going to other rooms and sort of organizing and sorting out. I think that's a very big part of meditation, is it's time to self-reflect. It's not always like, I think the empty room is sort of a break room, for you to escape to when you're going to those thoughts that come through your head of, oh, what should I make for dinner? Or, oh, what do I need to, what do I got to do at the gym? Or what should I call my mother? Things like that. I feel like it's just like, it's a big house and you're going through different rooms, and that empty room is just the most popular one with people because they feel life is so hectic and stressful to begin with that they don't want to have to sit there and focus on it and only it.
No.
Yeah, there are a lot of, meditation, there's so many ways you can do it. And one of the things that I really love, you're talking about driving and you end up there and you're like, how did I get here? Was that light red or green when I went through it? That's actually like being in a trance almost. I also certified in hypnotherapy. And when people say, well, I can't be hypnotized, it's like, but you are all the time. When you sit and you watch TV, you binge watch an entire series of Netflix, you're in a trance because you're just glued to that TV. Or when you drive and all of a sudden you realize I've driven for an hour and I don't remember any of that because I was so lost in my own thoughts. That's kind of the same thing. And meditation can be too for some people. I always say it's a great tool for if you're stuck in that negative mindset and you can't get out of it, stop and take a deep breath and think of a happy memory from your childhood, something that brings you a lot of joy. That's a really quick way to bring yourself out of that. If you're in a funk and you're like, I just can't today, and I'm in a bad mood and I don't know what's wrong, stop and do some like quick meditation where, again, it could just be picturing the empty house where I don't have any responsibility right now and I can just relax. Or it could be going back to a time when you were really, truly happy and you didn't have any cares. When we didn't have to pay bills when we were kids. Wouldn't you love to go back to that?
Yes.
Something like that, Yeah.
So Bob Seymour actually asked a good question that I'm going to turn into one. Honest self-evaluation is a critical part of having the proper perspective of life. We have to be willing to accept the possibility that we may be wrong and are willing to change that destructive patterns. For me, what my question is, destructive patterns you had, how hard was that for you to look in the mirror and tell yourself, okay, I need to break this? Because I remember when I had to do that, it was a very heavy day. It was a day where I think the next day I even was like, you suck, Brandon. And I had to break through that. But how do you know my question. I'm going to stop talking.
I think the most important thing, first of all, is take the shame out of it. We've got to stop beating ourselves up. You're human. And what I always say is, there's no such thing as failure. Failure is just the first attempt in learning. So if you didn't get it right the first time, this is just an opportunity for you to go back and say, okay, well, what do I do now? How can I try this a different way? We really have to, I think it's society that puts that pressure on us. Like, we have to be perfect. We have to do this. We have to do that. We've got to get out of that idea that, first of all, perfection, that's not a thing. No one's perfect. You can't achieve that. So just get rid of that. And you have to stop beating yourself up for all of the mistakes you made in the past, because, again, until you know better, you can't do better. You didn't have the tools at the time. I always say, you didn't have the tools that you needed at the time to do better. Now you do. Now you can take that and you can do that differently in the future. So taking the beating yourself up part out of it, that is the important part. And it is difficult. And they call it shadow work for a reason, because the shadow sides of us come out that we don't want to face because it's not pretty. But it's important. It's like someone when you get triggered by someone, someone says something to you and you overreact. You're like, later, why did I react like that? It's because someone triggered something within you. And when you do the mindfulness work and meditation and all of that, it becomes a lot easier that when someone says something to you that normally would be a trigger, it doesn't trigger you as much when you love yourself and when you're confident in yourself and when you say, okay, yeah, I did that, but I'm learning. And so I'm not going to beat myself up about that. I'm just going to take the lesson and I'm going to be better next time. When we look at it like that, there's a lot less shame. And I think it gets easier. But at first, it's really tough to do the shadow work because we don't want to look at how we've reacted. We don't want to look and say, okay, I was really selfish in that situation. But it's important to do that. And forgiveness is one of the most important pieces of healing, forgiving others, but more importantly, forgiving yourself for doing things like in the way you didn't think was correct. Later knowing, oh my gosh, I totally reacted the wrong way in that situation. You have to be able to forgive yourself.
Yeah. I love how you phrase that.
I think
Go ahead, Gavin.
that really, yeah, no, you're good. That really is the biggest thing into growth is forgiving yourself. Because shame, we talked about this a couple weeks ago with our book club, that there's a difference between shame and guilt. And shame is a part of who you are. It's defining who you are. But then guilt is feeling bad for the actions. You know, I talked about how I have shame for parts of who I am, and while they've gotten much smaller over the years, and it's not quite as big of a part of me, there still is a little bit of it that I need to work on. But then I feel guilt for the actions, and then the best way to start to get over that shame and continue to get rid of it is to forgive yourself for the things that you're guilty about. You know, once it's in the past, it's in the past. It can't be undone in majority of circumstances. So once you're able to do what you can to make amends for the situation and then forgive yourself and move on, because there is no taking back what has been done, then you can start to diminish that that shame that you feel and continue to grow and move on from it.
Yeah, and there's a really great tool out there that's called Radical Forgiveness, and it's a free website, and they have an online worksheet, and I love it because honestly, whenever you come through any difficult situation in your life, there was a lesson in it. There's always a lesson. There's purpose in every pain. And when you start looking at things differently, instead of saying, oh, this happened to me and I'm mad and this, instead looking at it, I always tell people, when you want to get to the bottom of what something really is, take your emotions out of it and journal as if you were writing a report for an accident. You know, no feelings involved. Like, this car went through this stop sign and then I hit it. You know, just very direct. This is what happened. My friend said this to me, and then I said this, and then I said this. And then you go back and you look at it and you realize, you know what? Maybe I did overreact. Oh, maybe it wasn't really what I thought it was about. And then you can realize the lesson. You see the lesson in it. Like, oh, the reason that this bothered me so much was this person triggered in me that I don't feel like I'm good enough. And I need to work on that. I need to work on my self-love. Or, you know, doing the radical forgiveness, it's this idea that you and this other person came here, acted out this scene for you to learn a lesson. And what was the lesson? And, you know, forgiveness, people think like, I can do it one time and then I feel better. It's kind of like layers of an onion. You heal that one layer, and then all of a sudden you go through life and someone says something to you and, oh, you're triggered, and that other layer comes up because your emotions are in so deep. So sometimes you have to do it more than once, and that's okay. That's normal.
With, you know, you said you had twins. I don't know if they're boys or girls. I'm finding out as we go. How has this influenced your children's life with you making such big adjustments and I tell my sister, she went through a divorce, and I'm saying this as someone who, I'm going to send this to my sister after this. When you go through a divorce and you're building your best you have to show that example. And I think you're a perfect example of how you have to break those barriers and get the best out of you. Like, how have your kids' lives changed and you've seen a difference in them through what you've been doing?
That's a great question. So I have a boy and a girl, a son and a daughter. And, you know, it's been tough because I've tried to be a good example to them, but also I grew up in a toxic environment too, a little bit. So that affected my parenting skills. And so I've had to also research how to be a better parent to them. So I've fallen a lot and not been perfect at all when it came to parenting, and I've had to apologize to them. Like, look, I was just learning and I'm trying to be better. And we've kind of had to grow together. But it's made it more difficult because their other parent, everything was about control. And so often, how do you control someone that no longer really cares, you know, about you? Through the kids, right? So we're manipulation going on and a lot of trying to control with the kids. And it was very difficult because it was like good cop, bad cop continuously. And so the parent who had to be the bad cop, obviously it's tough. And they saw that. And I would still try to say, okay, well, we can still get along. We can still, try to do this. But they've even had more trauma because, their dad committed suicide about a year ago. And so that was a really, really tough thing. They had conflict with him and they weren't speaking to him. And, it was like, okay, I don't know that it was like an I'll show you kind of a thing. But then, of course, now there's that, that has happened. So for them, now this is a whole new area where we're trying to help them heal through all of the trauma that has caused them. And so believe me when I tell people I understand what you're going through, and my clients say, I feel like I can tell you anything and I'm not judged. You're not judged. Like, I've seen a lot of things in my life and I understand how difficult things can be. And that's one thing I've learned is I would never judge another human being because you don't know what somebody's been through. And that whole just be nice, be kind, because you don't know what someone's life is like. That is so true. It's very true that people go through things we can never even imagine. And there needs to be some sort of change in our society where people don't feel the stigma that they can't talk about it.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of mental illness going on right now. And a lot of it is caused because people have experienced severe trauma in their lives. And there's no shame in that because as a child, what control do you have over that? But we have not, I think, done a good enough job as a society in making sure that mental health is a priority.
I agree 100%. And I'm sorry, Gavin, I know you're going to agree.
No, you're good.
Well.
You're good.
I come from, that's my biggest thing. Every Monday I do a mental health Monday, and it's a 1 minute quick thing to talk about mental health and bring awareness to it. I love that you bring that up because I think men and women, there's not any sex that can say they're not suffering from it. We all only have one mind, and it's about being able to use it and not just let it just fall apart. And when all we do is have negativity, it's like you keep building on that. The negatives, you're just it's like only eating McDonald's. And you need to know you got to put proper things in you. That's from prayer to meditation to literally reading something that uplifts you and making sure you're taking care of yourself. So I love that you said that. So I'm going to ask a random one that I don't think Gavin would think of, and I would because of where I've come from. Would you ever get married again?
Yes, I would. I would have to be, I know now what a healthy relationship should look like. So yeah, that's definitely not a thing I would be like, I'd never do that again, because I understand now why the first didn't work out. And I know that I've taken the time to heal myself. And that's the one thing I talk about with a lot of my clients too, is your energy enters a room before you do. And so when you have very low self-esteem, it's like your energy enters the room and is like, you don't look at me. I'm not a big deal, And so you attract people then who either look for people with low self-esteem so that they can manipulate you, or you find someone that also has very low energy, low self-esteem. And so that's a really bad combination. And that's where that codependency comes from, because in a codependent relationship, you're seeking validation from your partner. You're happy based on your partner. And that should never be the case. Your own happiness should come from you and from within. So when you work on the self-love, it doesn't matter what your partner says or does to you. Like, that you're a beautiful person, you're talented, you love yourself. If your partner doesn't treat you right, you're going to see that right away. You're going to see those red flags and you're going to walk away. You're going to say, no, I deserve to be treated better. Plus, your energy is a lot higher. You're vibrating at a higher frequency. You're going to attract better. So, I mean, that's the key there, is you got to work on your self-love first. And I have courses that I teach on self-love. You've got to work on that first. And you've got to be a whole person first before you can go out and try to find, someone else.
I love that you said that. How do I know for me? Sorry, Gavin. I'm going to ask one more, and then you can do 2 in a row.
You're good.
So I know I'm working on self-love, and some people say, "Oh, that's meditation. Oh, that's going for a walk. Oh, that's taking a bath." I almost killed myself the other day in the bath because I'm bald and I did a whole face mask over the top. It was way too hot. Trapped myself in. But for you, what was something that you would recommend people think about with self-love? Everybody's different, but finding your self-love is essential, and it's very, very unique to some people. Mine, I'm going to make you laugh. Where I feel the most comfortable is when I'm spinning fire. I spin fire for a hobby, but even my family, when I first started doing it, made fun of me, and now they see it and they're like, "That's your world." And I'm like, yeah, because nobody can get in there. I literally am spinning, and it's 6 feet of just pure me. And they see that now. And for me, that's where I go to be Brandon. How do you self-love to be able to take care of Melissa?
That's a great question. And all the things you were mentioning, I think of as self-care, which is a part of self-love. When I work with clients in self-love, it actually starts with, we look at what stories have I been telling myself about me? I've been telling myself that I'm not talented. I don't have what it takes to do what I want to do in my life. I'm not confident in my own decisions. We get to the root of the stories we actually have been telling ourselves, and then we get rid of them through tapping, usually, and through meditations. So if, for example, you think that you are not good enough, you tap on the pressure points, and then you repeat after me. And what we do is we say things like, "Oh, I think I'm not good enough. I've been told I'm not good enough." And we just do this tapping, and then we say, "Somewhere I've been told that story, but that's just a story." And we go through and we talk out that emotion, and you're actually getting rid of it from the cellular level, the very deep level. And I tell people, the hospital pain scale they give you on 0 to 10. Before we do the tapping, I'm like, from 0 to 10, where are you? I love myself, or I don't love myself at all. Do the tapping. Now, where are you in that scale? Okay, do it again. You do it again. We call it squeezing the lemon until you're all the way to 0. And then the next thing that we would do is start rewriting stories. So, okay, these were the thoughts I used to have. Now I'm going to think this about myself. Now when I think this thought, which is the mindfulness part, you've got to be present to know what you're thinking all the time, because a thought becomes your reality. So then we stop the thought. I'll tell them, I like to say rewind, delete, this is not what I really think, and then replace it with a better thought. Instead of saying, "Oh, I'm so lazy," no, I'm just taking time out for myself because I know how to take care of myself. You just reframe the thought. And then you do affirmations. So every day, the best affirmations for that individual person, if they need to work on, maybe they don't think they're pretty, the affirmations that tell them, "I'm a beautiful soul, I'm a beautiful person, I love myself." So replacing those. And then the other part is learning boundaries, healthy boundaries. People who don't love themselves are typically people pleasers, and so they will try to make everyone else happy, but to the detriment of themselves. So we also talk about healthy boundaries are that no is not a bad word. Saying no is necessary. When other people say, "Hey, can't you come by and do this?" No. And I'm not going to feel bad saying that because I need to protect my own time, my own energy. And then when we talk about how to start doing things that you've always wanted to do but were afraid to try, and tapping into your passion. So some people, when I say, "If you were given an unlimited amount of time or money, what would you do?" And they're like, "I don't know." And I would say, "Well, what do you like doing?" "I don't know." Some people don't even know what they love or what makes them happy or passionate because they've been living someone else's idea of what their life should be. And so they really dig into, who are you? What makes you happy? What makes you tick? And what interests you? And it seems weird, but I actually had a listener on my podcast one time who she always wanted to go to this Mexican restaurant, and she was afraid to go in and sit down by herself and just try it because she just, I don't know, she just didn't, she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to go eat by herself, and this, like, you know, social anxiety and all of that. What will people think if I'm there by myself? And I did a podcast on letting go of fear and moving forward. She emailed me and said, I went in and I sat down and I ate at that restaurant, and it was the best meal I'd ever had. And she never would have done it just because that's how we're programmed sometimes. You know, we have to learn a lot of the things that we've been taught.
Yeah. So going through this conversation so far, we've talked about a lot of different ways that people use as outlets in order to deal with their social anxieties, with their depression, with their trauma, with whatever the issue may be. One of the ways that I really deal with it a lot is projects. I enjoy getting a lot of projects, and I'll just have something to focus on. Like, I have my daily tasks that I need to do, and then I have things that need to get done sooner than later, but not necessarily that day. And then I have some sort of project that I use to escape from everything else. What is the trial and error that you had to go through before you figured out what your proper way was of dealing with your stress? Because like, not everybody can do projects that would just add stress to them, or for me it relieves it, but not everybody else can sit down and meditate, or maybe they think they had the tapping thing doesn't work for them because they're skeptical about it, or they, for whatever reason, they think that it's silly. People have their reasons for thinking things about other things. So what was the trial and error that you had to go about before you figured out what your vice or vices were to get out of this mindset?
I just tried a lot of different things. And that would be my advice to people, is just try new things and see what works for you and what doesn't. I knew that I loved going for walks, being out in nature and just, you know, seeing the beautiful trees. And if it was nice weather, especially, that I love. So I will go for a walk to clear my head. I really like doing that. Of course, meditation works for me too. But like yoga, for example, everyone's like, yoga is amazing. I love yoga. I cannot, like, I've tried so many times to like yoga and to love yoga, and I just don't love it. I wish I did. And I always feel better after I've done it. But in the process of it, I think I might have a touch of ADD too. I don't know. Because when I'm sitting there, I'm just like, okay, you know, this stretch, that doesn't really work that much for me. Now, I love doing Zumba. You're going to laugh, but I love dancing. So that's like a workout where I can dance, and it's fast paced, and it's upbeat, and I feel amazing afterwards. So that's my go-to thing, is I do Zumba, or I go for a walk. I'm not a runner. I laugh because, like, if you find my body on a jogging track, it was not because I was there running. I do not run at all. I've just always been one of those people, like, I've never figured out the rhythm of running. And so I'm always about to die and can't breathe and all of that when I try to run. So I'm not a runner, but I like to walk. And I don't like yoga, but I love Zumba. So you've got to find your thing. So trial and error is exactly what it is. You just think of something that you'd like to try and do it. And don't beat yourself up if you're like, man, everybody makes pottery, or everybody's been making bread and I tried it and I hate it. You know, it's not your thing. That's no big deal. That's why we're all unique. That's why we're different. You know, if everybody did the same thing all the time, this world would be really boring. So what makes you tick? Do you like painting? Go try painting. I thought I would love to do that. So I went and I tried it, and it was a lot of fun. I found out I am not an artist, but I had a great time. So whatever you do, you know, it's whatever makes you happy, really. That's the thing that you have to look at, you know, and when you find it, you'll know, because time will fly and you'll go, wow, that was really cool. For me, learning languages is the thing that I love to do. So I get on the and I learn it. Yeah.
What is a language you're learning right now? And teach us something German.
Okay.
Please.
So I'm learning Swedish and French right now. And it's very basic stuff, so I couldn't teach you a lot of Swedish or French, but it is amazing how easily you can pick up on those things, especially if you've already learned one language. So German, I have to tell you a story. So we had our German Club t-shirts made last year, and on the back we had put Etwas auf Deutsch, which literally means something in German. So people would say, what does your shirt say? And we're like, something in German. No, but what does your shirt say? I'm like, I know, quit being, no, it really means something in German. So usually when people say something in German, I'll say etwas auf Deutsch, which means something in German.
Something in German.
Nice.
That's awesome. Bonjour, comment ça va?
Ça va.
Ça va bien? Ça va comme ça? I only know that much in French, and I made it sound like I was so professional at it.
So when you would say that, Brandon, it would be comment ça va was correct, but then they would actually respond back either ça va or ça va. It depends if the connotation at the end goes up or down with it, but the bien isn't necessary.
Oh, see, I always did that because I haven't done French since 5th grade, and I tried learning Spanish, and I just totally mixed the two up. And then I learned sign language, and like you said, you can't go for a jog, but you like Zumba. You don't like yoga, but you love Zumba. You don't go for a jog, but you go for a walk. I cannot mix. I mix those two up. I've been in Mexico speaking French to people, and they're like, "Oh, like the garbage can says like gracias," and I'm like, "Why are they thanking me and stuff?" Like it's like, so yeah. But sign language picked up like that within 2 years, fluent, and like was able to like keep up in conversations, and so yeah, I get it. It's finding that self-love.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a funny story about that too. We did a tour where we were going through took students and we're going through all the different countries. And I always feel like it's necessary to learn a few phrases in whatever country you're going to just to get around. So we're in Italy and we had just been in Germany. So my friend taught me a little bit of Italian. So I said, I was trying to order 2 waters and I said, ho bisogno 2 l'acqua. So I said everything except the word 2 in Italian. I said 2 in German. And he just looked at me and he said, spy? And I said, oh, no, do it. And he started laughing. They understand and they appreciate that you tried, but then they're also like, okay, yeah, Americans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goddamn tourist.
Stupid Americanos. So now building up your best you and now your kids are, you said 18 years ago, college?
Yeah, they're 19. And my daughter just finished her first year of college and my son, he tried college and it was all online and it just did not work too well for him. So he took a semester off to kind of figure out what he wants to be. And that's a part of being an open parent. Society says, well, you have to have it figured out by this time and this time. Mm-hmm. And, I went and got a degree when I was right out of high school and ended up going back and changing because I didn't like what I did. So I think we need to allow our kids the freedom to really figure out what they want to do and not have, our school system is set up. I'm a teacher and I think it's set up entirely wrong. And we need to really revamp that because at 18, they're supposed to know what they want to do, really. Like I was an idiot at 18. Like I had no idea what was going on.
Right. So, I went to college and but before I was done, I was like, this wasn't for me. Like I knew it. And then I had to go, in my 20s, I go back and I had a better idea. And when I started back up, it was like, I even took it more seriously. I took myself more seriously. So 18, you're not going to know what you want. Like, I love that you're parenting like that.
Expensive. I mean, they go into debt going to college at a time when they don't know what they want to do. It's all wrong.
Yes.
The issue as well is that the schedule and the buildings themselves, typically not so much the newer buildings are starting to redesign how they do the schools now, but the majority of the schools that are built right now that have been there for 50 to 100 plus years, they are designed for a factory mindset of you sit down in order in your classroom in rows, and then the bell rings, you go to lunch, the bell rings, you take a break, the bell rings, you go back to work kind of mindset. But then the rubric itself and the curriculum is set up for a common knowledge aspect where you just know a little bit about everything, but you don't have any sort of specialty that you go into. Once you get to high school, it's a little bit different. Like they do have programs now, like but here in Cleveland, we have Polaris that we're able to go to. When I was in high school, I was able to take Polaris classes. I did biomedical engineering for a few years. So I thought that's what I wanted to do. And that allowed me to figure out that isn't what I wanted to do. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't like all the paperwork. I didn't like being on a computer filling out files all the time, which ironically I kind of do now in a sense anyway. But that's what I see the biggest issue is that it's based off of quote unquote what common knowledge should be, and it's very vast, it's very vague, and then they try to test everybody on just that this vague knowledge that majority of the people have no interest in a lot of it. They like one or two things, but then they don't care about the rest, and they just memorize it for a test and then end up forgetting it the day after.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. And I think one of the testing issue is just ridiculous. It's a waste of time and money, and everybody knows that. But it's bad because, you know, we get told over and over, you need to differentiate your lessons. There are different types of learners. You need to have activities that appeal to all types of learners, and then they give everyone the same test. So that makes sense. Yeah.
I think more so they need to clarify why. They need to find a better reason why students should be motivated to learn things. Like every time that I ask a teacher, why do I need to learn geometry? Why do I need to learn, you know, this specific history that I had no interest in? So I had a lot of interest in Rome history. It applies very little to my day-to-day life, but I really enjoyed it. But then I had very little interest in the American Revolution until recently. And then I find it extremely inspiring and a lot of fun to study about. But I was always given the reason why was, oh, you need to know this so you can get into a good college, so you can get a good career. Like, well, that's such a vague, almost cop-out answer at this point. Like, how does this specifically apply? How will this specifically help me out? And I think we need to change the reason why. Say more like, oh, you know what, it could create this opportunity. It can make you more interesting in social events, which make you a better speaker, which make you more confident, which things like that I think are a better reason to tell a student why they should learn something that they might not understand than just saying, oh, because you can get a career if you know how to do this. This is the only way to be successful. Because that makes you feel trapped. Makes you feel like you're in a cage, and that if you don't do well at it, that you'll fail, and then you get anxiety, and then you do end up failing, or you end up going crazy succeeding because you're depressed because all you do is study. You don't allow yourself to go out into the world and experience what life really is, which is the world.
I agree.
I'm sure.
Very well said, Gavin. So on our show, we only have a few minutes left. We have like 9 minutes left, but the way we end our show usually goes for a few minutes. We end it by speaking positivity into everybody and giving them a motivation for the rest of the week. I like how your website says it. It's Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. So we're going to give everybody their awesomeness to help them keep going through their week. I will go first. Gavin will go second. Now, you ready for this? Bob Seymour, who's not expecting this, will go third. And that way, you can go. He still hasn't caught on to what I did. And then you will go last to help spread the positivity through the weekend and the awesomeness that you are. Does that sound good to you?
Awesome. Yes. Sounds amazing.
I love it. So, I'm first. I wish I could tell everybody that life gets better. As you get older, life will always get more and happier and more money, and everything, your dreams will come true. But the thing is, life doesn't get better. The only way life gets better is if you get better. Need to take care of yourself, build you up, and make sure that you get the best you in this life. Absolutely.
Today, I want to give everybody a challenge. I like to give people challenges now and again, and this challenge is going to be very easy for some people and extremely difficult for other people. But if you do it, I promise you that you will feel at least the slightest bit better about yourself and your life. So the challenge that I have to give people for the weekend is to hand out minimum three random compliments. You know, if you're walking down the street and you see somebody who's got nice shoes, say, hey, I like your shoes. I like your smile. Hey, I like your haircut. Just something like that. Just hand out 3 random compliments to complete strangers. Not friends, not family. Complete strangers. Hand out 3 random compliments minimum. Just do that over the weekend. You could do 1 today, 1 Saturday, 1 Sunday. You could do them all on one of these days. Just go out, try to hand out 3 random compliments to complete strangers. See how you feel. See how it happens.
Yeah, I won't bounce off of that, Gavin. I challenge people all the time. Just do a simple act of kindness. See a stranger, give somebody $5. Give something to somebody. Do something for somebody else. It will definitely make you feel better. But I want to encourage people to, take chances. Don't get trapped by fear of the unfamiliar, man. Take that risk. If we were talking about relationships. And I used to have this wall built around me to protect me because I didn't want to ever have to deal with it again. But I realized that wall that I had built to protect me was actually a prison. It was keeping me a prisoner to loneliness, to despair, all that stuff. You've got to be open to be hurt to be able to love. So I want to challenge it. Get out of your comfort zone. Do something out of the ordinary, something you've never thought you would be able to do. You'll be amazed at what happens when you reach out of your comfort zone to help somebody else. So just go out there and love people, be yourself, love yourself. It's not that hard to do if you look at yourself from God's perspective of who you are. Believe it or not, according to God, I'm altogether lovely, man. But it's the truth, and so are you, man. I want to just thank everybody too for the support you gave me last week. The lady I helped out the riot told me to say thank you. So anyway, just go love somebody today, the rest of the week. God bless.
I want to encourage people, don't sweat the small stuff. We cannot change what happens to us in life. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control ourselves. So don't let things get to you. And gratitude is an amazing way to shift things. So if you're feeling bad about something that's happened, stop and look around you and find 5 things you can be grateful for. And just allow that to shift your perspective.
I love it. Very well done. Very well said. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to connect with Melissa. Her website is in the chat. You're able to click that. Bob's Patreon is shared and on the link as well. So that way, as he's spreading across the country, you can spread joy, delight, and positivity with him and keep up with him. Melissa, this has been 100% an honor that you were on here and great conversation. Gavin, the last question of the day goes to you, buddy. Rights and Wrong Podcast wants to know that they're sorry they got here late, but they have to ask, Gavin, how is it working in that flight tower with a headset that big?
Oh, it's great. The air pressure is really great for my ears because I was born in Tucson, Arizona, so I'm used to the higher elevation of the Rocky Mountains. So it's definitely a lot. It's pretty great. It helps out with my sinuses as well.
You're a dork. I love you. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember, spread positivity, love, joy, and be the change you want to see in the world. Once again, this is Brandon Croucher, Gavin, Melissa, and Bob Seymour. Have a great Friday, guys.
God bless.